Man, I wish I could whistle. If I could fucking whistle, I'd be about to crush this. 1, 2, 3, 4. God damn it, I can't whistle. I wish I could, but hold on. Don't mind as I come way back here. And I come back and I'm bam, right back to the microphone. What's up, y'all? It's Wax's Podcast, episode 53. Feeling good, feeling great. How are you? And the reason I'm feeling so good and feeling great is because I'm back to the crib. That's the title of this podcast, episode 53, Wax's Podcast, back to the crib. I want to welcome you. Welcome all of you listening to my humble abode. You've been here before in your heart. If you've listened to the podcast before, you've been here before in your mind. If you're a long time Wax's Podcast listener, because I used to do this shit here. Before I got my little whoopity-doo up, look at me. I have a studio in Hollywood. Look at me. Look at me. I'm a big-time actor. I'm a Hollywood movie star. My name is in lights. Look at me. Oh, you can't see me? Did you look up on the marquee when you went to a movie theater? Who did I think I was? Who the fuck did I think I was to have my studio in Hollywood? Driving like a half an hour. If I'm lucky, it took me a half an hour to get to my studio. If I wanted to put down an idea, musical, podcast, or otherwise, if I wanted to record some kind of audio idea besides directly into my iPhone, and I was at my house here in Venice Beach, California, I would have had to make the trek, as I did many times over the past almost year, to my studio space in Hollywood. And you know what? It wasn't worth the cost. It wasn't worth the time. And it wasn't worth the effort. You know what I mean? Now all my shit, if I look around me right now, just to give you an idea of what I got going on, I got my preamp, my speakers, which fucking suck. I got to get some new ones because one of them's fucked up and the other one's kind of fucked up. All my computer, my keyboard, all my guitars, my bass, all here at the crib, which has a nice little area set up for recording. I did, most of my last album here. So it's proven to be at least somewhat effective. Might I remind you that album was number 150 something in Billboard magazine on the charts when it first came out. After saying that, allow me to allow me to conceitedly sip my coffee. Let me take a coffee break and just realize and ponder. Just think back to how amazing I am. Yep. If you look at that issue of Billboard magazine, that was me. I did my album here. We even mixed my album here at my house. I had a professional engineer. What's up, Joe Peluso? Come over here. We mixed the shit here. We did do like we did 2 days at like a kind of real studio just to do all the final tweaks, but we did 2 weeks of just mixing and finishing the shit here. And guess what? That album came out over a fucking year ago, so that shows you how productive I am when it comes to making music. Look at me. I need to get my shit done, y'all. That's one of the reasons I moved my shit back here. I'm trying to get back to work. I'm trying to be focused on my music. I need to put out another album, man. I'm trying to get the shit out to y'all. You guys, the fans. Some people that are fans of the podcast probably don't even listen to my fucking music, but a lot of you do, according to the questions that you send me, and I appreciate that. And I want to give you guys that enjoy the music as much as I possibly can, because let's face it, the reason that I'm able to do this shit and live in Venice Beach, California, and talk to the microphone as some kind of job or whatever the fuck I do for a living is because people support me. People buy my shit on iTunes. People still buy my shit. It's pretty crazy. I'm able to do shows, go on tour, things like that, travel the world. Hey. But let's not, sit back down. I'm talking to myself right now. I'm looking in a mirror, hypothetically, and talking to myself. Sit down. Get over yourself. You're not that big. You don't need a space in Hollywood. California. You're not You're getting too big for your britches there. Your eyeballs are bigger than your fucking bank account there, tough guy. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. How many times? You know what a good drinking game would be is to see how many times. Because I actually listened to the podcast I put out last week, episode 52, which was actually a pretty good episode, I think, because I was just so in a mentally weird place. But if you listen to how many times I say I don't know what I'm talking about, and you took a drink every time I said that, you would surely have at least a slight buzz by the end of the episode. Anyway, speaking of drinking, I'm still not drinking. Today's day 37. Still haven't had a sip of alcohol, and yes, I'm going crazy. I think I've reached the point now where it's going past like, oh, I have so much willpower, I'm a beast, to severe temptation. I'm feeling a lot of temptation. As I drive by, they have there's a lot of old country songs where they talk about the neon lights, Those neon lights when you drive down the street, especially in certain sections of Los Angeles, or maybe if you live in Vegas or Austin or something, but really any city, man. Any major city or even just a town with a strip of bars where they got that little fucking sign. You know what I'm talking about? That little neon sign that says cocktails on it. When I see that shit, man, that looks like somebody waving their hand and saying, come on in. That's what that shit looks like to me. And when I drive by that shit recently, I've really been tempted to fucking stop and be like, listen, what am I doing here? I don't know how much of a problem I really have with alcohol. I don't really know at this point because I am able to quit without any help. I don't go to AA. I don't have, I don't know. I live by myself. I spend most of the day by myself. And I pretty much just quit drinking on pure willpower or whatever. Let me conceitedly drink my coffee again. Tried a new, it's the word I was about to say. Tried a new type of coffee creamer this week. I usually have the French vanilla coffee, mate, but this week I went with the hazelnut. That's the sober guy's update. A sober, single, fucking dude without kids that lives by himself. That's the update for my week. I changed the flavor of the coffee creamer that I use. I usually use French vanilla. But this week I'm going with hazelnut. I usually don't drink coffee this late at night, but, you got to have some coffee when you're doing the podcast from home, you know what I mean? If you're not going to drink beer. Day 37. I think the temptation to smoke cigarettes has kind of gone down. I think I'm pretty much not in that place, like the chemical dependence on cigarettes, but the alcohol thing, it's like, I think it's one of those things where your brain, like if I were to stop today, if I were to give up, if I were to start back drinking today, I think that I would probably go on a bender or something like that. I don't know. I didn't plan on talking about that today. I didn't plan on talking about the drinking shit. But I think about it a lot. So I just want to give you guys an update that I still haven't drank or smoked. 37 days. So trying to go 100. There's other reasons there's other things I got going on. I'm actually doing, I'm doing something else that doing like a little project that involves the quitting smoking and drinking too, that I'll talk about when the 100 days are up. But it's kind of like a little project I'm working on, long-term project. But yeah, so it was I guess it was the first St. Patrick's Day that I went by. Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. By the way, if you're not in Los Angeles, there was a pretty wild earthquake yesterday, 6:30 a.m. Out of all the earthquakes I've never felt like a major earthquake that fucked anything up really bad. But this one was pretty scary. Like, it woke me up at 6:30 and the whole shit was shaking. Maybe like 10 or 15 seconds of shaking. It was relatively violent. And it was definitely one of those ones that makes you say, like, oh shit, like this might be the thing. Like this might, be the one. But it wasn't. Thank God. And then yesterday proceeded to be St. Patrick's Day. I didn't really think about it. Not one of those people who cares about St. Patrick's Day and wears green and stuff like that. But I did drive by many bars on the way home from hanging out with some people I know, working on some music and shit like that. And I was tempted to go in, drink myself some green beer. I am half Irish, for those of you guys that don't know. So maybe that's one of the reasons why I like to drink. But people always say that shit about like what they are. They're like, I'm Irish, so you know what that means. Like, especially white people, because they're like every like separate white thing, but besides arguably Jewish, I don't even know. It's like, I'm German, you know what that means. Love to drink beer. I'm Russian, you know what that means. Big drinker. I'm British, you know what that means. Big drinker. I'm Australian. Big drinker. French, love the wine. Big drinker. I'm Italian. Huge drinkers in my family. Like, every European shit is known for their drinking. Belgium, big drinker. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't have like a punchline about that. I'm just saying that, like, you know, just because somebody has Irish doesn't mean they're like more or less prone to drinking. We just been brainwashed to think that because all we know about the Irish here in America is St. Patrick's Day. Like, when we think of Irish, we think of the little guy on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish logo. You know, the little leprechaun dude. And obviously he's fucked up fighting outside of a bar. And we just think that everybody in Ireland is like that. I've been to Ireland. Some of you guys know. I did shows over there. I did an awesome show in Dublin. I even went to Northern Ireland. Did a show in Belfast. And, you know, to be honest with you, that is pretty much what everybody in Ireland's like. Everybody literally looks like the Notre Dame Fighting Irish logo. And I wouldn't recommend walking down the street because people will randomly punch you in the face at any given time. Honestly, Belfast is kind of like that if you want. Belfast I gave Belfast the award for toughest, or craziest white people. That's what when we were there. Belfast wins the award, so thank you. I mean, you're welcome to everybody out there. Any Belfastian who's listening right now, I officially give you the award for city with the craziest white people. Especially the young ones, like the 13-year-olds running around the streets in Belfast. Don't give a fuck, man. I was talking to somebody, hold on. Let me conceitedly sip. Rappers I repeatedly rip. Got your girl to repeatedly strip. Then immediately suck my dick. Whatever. I'm so sick of rapping about how hypothetical rapper that is not here, how his hypothetical girlfriend that doesn't exist did some kind of sexual activity to me. I don't really want to. They're so fun though, man. You can write whole verses about that. Like, if you listen to certain verses I have from some of my old shit, like You Ain't Shit Man from me and EOM's album Liquid Courage, the whole rap is just like talking about like your girl did this, I fucked your girl, blah blah blah. And that's any battle rap too. And it's like, no you didn't. First of all, who are you even talking to? Second of all, what if the person's single? Third of all, if they did have a girlfriend, it's pretty remarkable that out of the billions of females in the world, that you've randomly fucked my girlfriend in those weird ways when you don't even really know who I am, much less who I'm dating. You know what I mean? I'm speaking as if I'm the person listening. So I'm trying not to do shit. I'm trying to take my next shit a little less predictable and what's the word I'm looking for? Cliche. Yeah. Was that the word? No, touche and taboo was the one me and my brother fucked up. Why was I talking about that? I was talking about Ireland and how everybody looked like a leprechaun and then they're the craziest white people in Belfast, and then somehow I ended up talking about that. I had a point that I was going to make. Was it about Ireland? St. Patrick's Day? Irish people? What did I start talking about? I can't even remember. I'm telling you, not drinking alcohol, and I don't really smoke much marijuana or anything like that these days. Not like I used to. You know what I mean? It's like the people on Twitter, like, oh, not drinking, just smoke all day, huh? I'm not like that. You know, when I was like college age, I was kind of addicted to weed. Like I kind of had to be high at all times, and when I wasn't high, you know, I felt strange. But now I'm not like that, you know, and I don't feel the same way. And especially with the kind of weed they have now, like, you can't smoke weed like that anymore. Like, especially with all the chemistry and shit that's involved. Like, it's crazy the way, like, all the dabs and the waxes, and just, like, this girl that I know has a backpack. An entire, like, enormous backpack. Like, when she walks into your house with her weed paraphernalia backpack on, it looks like that she's going backpacking across Europe. You know what I mean? And she has enough shit in there that she's going to start at Belfast in case some of the fucking people come after her. She got, I don't know, I was trying to do like some kind of shit where I like related what I just was talking about to what I'm talking about now, but it didn't work. My point is the bitch got a big backpack. You know what I'm saying? And the only things that are in the backpack is weed paraphernalia. Like, it used to be that maybe you had a bag of weed and some papers. Maybe you had a pipe. Maybe you had like a bubbler. If you're at somebody's house, maybe they had a bong. But this chick carries around with her torches and crazy different kinds of shit to put the dabs in and shit like that. And yeah, I don't know. A lot of people, that's just the thing. It's a when you get older, some people still do it, and you got to know that some people in the entertainment industry still do it because they're in the entertainment industry. But my point is that some people, once they get into their 30s and then they get into their 40s, they still are like this person that's all about weed. Like, that's their life, is like, you know, you associate their name with weed, you associate their music with weed, whether it's Snoop or Be Real or I mean, I know for a fact that those people smoke a lot of fucking weed, but there's just people out there that are totally associated with weed. But those are famous people. Some people in regular life are just like, you know, like girls that I follow on Instagram that their name is like Dab Girl 420, you know, and every Instagram picture of them is they're like hitting a bong in kind of a sexy way, and then they blow the smoke into the camera, and then there's like a million hashtags like girls who get high, beauties that are baked bong beauties, tatted up chicks who smoke joints, dab queen 420, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't have a problem with any of those chicks. As a matter of fact, one of those chicks specifically that I follow, I'm not going to say her name. I highly doubt she listens to this podcast, but she does know that I do it probably. And she's super cool. She's actually the same chick that carries the backpack. And she's fucking awesome. And I love people like that. I mean, I think it's way better for people to be involved with weed than to be involved with, like, I don't know, like violence or killing puppies or something like that. It's a great hobby to be involved with. It makes, if everybody, let's be honest, if everybody smoked weed, the world would be a much more peaceful place. I would fucking say that to anybody. I don't think that's refutable. Hold on. I'm sure some people would refute it. The same scientists who, I say scientists with the quotes in the air, you know, the same scientists who made it legal in the first place. If you look up the reasons and the roots for illegal marijuana laws in the United States in the first place, you'll find some fucked up shit. The reason that weed was, because you know weed was legal in like 1900. It was made illegal in like the 20s and 30s due to some shit that was relatively racist, I would say. Not even relatively, I would just say blatantly. Where am I going with this? Yeah, so there's a lot of people in their life that, you know, that's their thing. That's their thing is weed, you know? And I will say that one of those people that I follow, I don't remember which one of them it was. I follow a couple people on Twitter and Instagram that are kind of weed people. And yesterday on St. Patrick's Day, they had a thing. It must have been on Instagram because it was a picture. Unless it was a TwitPics, then it could possibly be Twitter. Or maybe it was on Facebook because you can post pictures on Facebook. Did I go to their Tumblr? Or what various social media outlet could it possibly have been posted on? Maybe it was just their .com website. Maybe I was just driving along and I saw them, this image on a billboard that they rented out. I don't know, man. But my point is there was a fucking shamrock that was like kind of like a weed leaf or something like that. No, it was just I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was a shamrock next to a weed leaf, and it said, "Kiss me, I'm Hirish." Higrish. Hirish. With the caption, LOL. And I was like, really? Kiss me, I'm Hirish. Man, that's pretty clever. To replace the I with high in Irish. That's some pretty like simplistic weed comedy right there. Like you could come up with a lot of other. I mean, I'm sure if I tried to do some off the cuff right now, I'll fuck them up. But like kiss me, I'm Irish. What's like another example like that? Like kiss me under the mistletoe. Like kiss me under the purple hazel toe. That was a fucking worst. The worst fucking. Was Irish. What else are you fucking kiss me under the missile stoned. Kiss me under the thizzle toe. If you're fucking, I don't know. Do people still say thiz? I don't know. It's like a Bay thing. I don't fucking know where I'm going with that, but I'm just saying that it wasn't that clever. And I'm not that clever either. I'm not sitting up here in my house in Venice Beach, where I now do the podcast out of, telling you that I'm the most clever person in the world either. I haven't even posted anything on Instagram in a while, man. I haven't posted an Instagram in a week, and it's fucking sad that I even think about those things, but social media, I put the me in social media. Speaking of cleverness, that was less clever than Kiss Me, I'm Irish, but I put the me in social media because I have to be involved with it. It's part of my job. It's part of my life. When I put this podcast out, I got to tweet it. I got to Facebook it. And it's so fucking difficult. So if I sound like I'm complaining, it's because I am. I mean, what if I get carpal tunnel, you know? All you people out there that listen to this during your cubicle job that you hate, in your hour-long commute just to get to a place where you don't want to be there for 8 hours, while you just think all day about how you'd rather be home with your family or on the beach relaxing or just in a different place altogether, and how you only have one life to live, but you're spending an actual majority of your waking time, if you think about it, because 8 hours your sleep, 8 hours your work, and then you got 8 other hours. Some of that you're doing chores and shit. So you're spending a majority of your waking time at a place where you don't want to fucking be, away from your friends, away from your family. While you're thinking about that, I might be getting slight arthritis over a very, very long period of time by typing, "Here's my podcast, new episode" on Facebook. So whenever you start feeling bad for yourself, just think about that, and that, you know, you'll start feeling so bad for me that you won't care about yourself anymore. Yeah. What else do I got? I got a couple things written down this week. Bono breakfast sting. Oh, okay. That was because I talked to my mom this week on the phone. I actually talked to my mom for a while. Those long conversations you have with your mom, especially if you're like me and you don't see your mom very often. I live on the West Coast. She lives on the East Coast. I don't see my mom. I don't talk to her as much as I probably should. So when we talk, I got a good relationship with my mom. It's a long talk. And sometimes it gets a little deep. Hold on. Let me conceitedly sip my coffee again. That one I made a little less arrogant. Try to step away from the mic, Just sip instead of bubble. But talking to my mom, and I don't know what we got on. We started talking about music and we started talking about fame. We were talking about famous people and the shit that they have to go through. And we're just talking about, I was talking about how some people don't realize, and my mom, we were both talking about how some people don't realize, the price that people pay for fame. And, that people can't go out, people can't do regular shit. The line I always use, when I used to watch MTV Cribs and people were like, "This motherfucker, look at this motherfucker, he's got a bowling alley at his house. What the fuck you need a bowling alley at your house for?" And I would always say, well, you know what? That guy right there can't go to the bowling alley. If he goes to the bowling alley, he can't have fun with his family at a bowling alley because people like you are going to be fucking all up in his business trying to get autographs and shit like that. So we were just talking about famous people, and my mom said something to the effect of, so how was it when it was when I was on the Hug a Hater tour with Watsky. So this was September or November. And speaking of being in Europe, this was when I was in Europe and I was doing an Instagram series where I was talking shit and just rapping on the streets and shit. And I'd always make bullshit captions. And I said, just had breakfast with Sting and I fucking paid, or something like that. Just something stupid. And I guess sometimes you don't realize that your sarcasm, when I write something in all caps with 10 exclamation points, it's probably some type of dumb sarcasm. It's a kind of humor that me and my brother have always had. But I guess my mom didn't get it, and she thought that I really had lunch with Sting and paid for it. But while we were talking on the phone, I guess she forgot that it was Sting and thought it was Bono. Which, looking back on it, it's pretty impressive that my mom would even get those two confused. Because I checked my Twitter, I was like, did I write was that Bono or Sting? And I had written Sting, and she asked me about Bono. And if you know anything about 80s rock bands, in the 80s, those were kind of the two big European alt-rock pop bands was fucking The Police and U2. So she had to have known that was the case in order to even get those two people confused. Because I never even mentioned Bono in the thing. So for her to bring up Bono, that's actually pretty impressive. I never thought about that at the time. But the point of me even bringing up the story was just funny that my mom, while we were talking about this fame thing, she casually asked me, she was like, "Oh, well, you know your friend, what's his name? The guy with the glasses that has all the causes. You ate breakfast with him. You ate breakfast with him while you're in Europe. Bono. Bono. So he must have. Does he ever tell you about stuff? Like, I guess all of a sudden my mom just casually brought the fact that that Bono was my friend, like dead serious, and I had to think like, damn, like you thought this whole time that Bono was my friend, like the kind of dude that I eat breakfast with when I'm in Europe, and this is the first time you're like mentioning that before. I wonder if she told her friends about that. My mom pretty much listens to these podcasts, so I'd be interested. Mom, did you tell any of your friends that I know Bono? Because I don't. I put the no in do you know Bono twice. Kiss me, I'm fucking Irish. Anyway, that's really about all I have to say about that. What else do I got going on this week? You know what? I wanted to tell a quick story. Because of this came to me this morning. Because I have Spotify on my phone now. I have the straight up paid for Spotify where you can listen to whatever, basically anything, any music you want, whenever you want. And I have, my car has like a plug for my phone, so I can have Spotify on my phone and just through my car stereo essentially listen to whatever I want whenever I want, which is amazing, but it's also intimidating. It's like when you're chilling with your friend, you're like, you seen any good YouTube videos lately? You go to youtube.com and there's just a search bar and you're like, oh, you mean just find something out of all things ever? It's kind of like weird when you open up at least for me, I don't know, maybe you guys are different, but when I open up Spotify, and my first thought is always, damn, I can listen to anything ever. Then my second thought is always, well, coming up blank, But for some reason today I thought of the band The Gravediggers, and if you've never heard of The Gravediggers were like a horrorcore, HORR, not horrorcore rap group from the mid '90s, made up by Prince Paul, the RZA, and a couple other dudes who it's kind of embarrassing, but I don't know who they were, but they had different names. It was like the RZA was Resurrecta, there was like the Grim Reaper. And there was two other, they had different, like Prince Paul was a different name too. But it was an album that when I was in high school, I just fucking loved that album. It had crazy ass beats, crazy ass rhymes, and it just had an energy to it that was amazing. And when I was 16, I worked at McDonald's. And I had just gotten my driver's license. and I was working at McDonald's. And I don't know if you remember when you were 16, people in other countries and maybe even other states now have made the driver's license change to 18 and maybe even 21 in certain countries. But I think even in the States, sometimes some states have 18 now. If it doesn't, it should be that way. Any old person will tell you that 16 is too young for motherfuckers to be driving. You are not smart enough. You do not make good enough decisions. You don't understand the value of life enough at 16 to be driving a car. That's what I'll stick to that for the rest of my life. You couldn't have told me that shit at 16. If at 16 I would have been like, motherfucker, I could drive a go-kart at 13. Why couldn't I drive a car? It's the same shit, automatic. But I just wanted to tell this story. I might even told it on the podcast before, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. I just get my driver's license. If you think back to when you were 16, some of you motherfuckers listening are 16 and under. I get your emails. But especially if you are 16, you'll even relate to this even more than the older listeners. Just think of the joy that you had when you first got that driver's license. Think of how fucking awesome that was. How amazing it was to be able to drive by yourself, no parents, no nothing, just you in the car, going to where you gotta go. Getting out of the crib, just freedom. And if you combine that with the fact that The Gravediggers is just crazy shit, especially in my 16, like when I was 16, anybody that's a teenager listens to music different than people that are like, older. I don't know what age you be to start listening to it different, but when you're like 16, like music affects you in an extremely real way, like extremely real. And the Gravediggers have a song called 6 Feet Deep, which is by the way, the chorus of that song is so fucking hard. It's arguably the hardest chorus for a non-black person to rap along with and not say the N-word with the chorus? I don't give a fuck. I'll say that. I'm not saying that. Hold up. Let me take that back because y'all took that the wrong way. I'm not saying I'll say the word, but I will say that it's difficult for a 16-year-old kid that's not black to be by himself in that Dodge Neon, which was my mom's brand new Dodge Neon. That goes to show you how long ago it was when Dodge Neons could be brand new, and Dodge Neons were actually pretty cool at that time. But my mom had just gotten a Dodge Neon, and somehow I was able to drive that Dodge Neon to work. And on the way to work at McDonald's, which was a fucking mile and a half from my house, a mile from my house on the way was a 7-Eleven. And I'm listening to this fucking Gravedigger song. G to the R to the A to the V, E to the D to the I to the G, G to the A to the zigzag Z. Gravedigger, outfit 6 feet deep. The outfit was the N-word. But when my 16-year-old self probably fucking screamed that word as loud as I possibly could. But I was just, if you listen to that song, go listen to it. Gravedigger, 6 feet deep. Matter of fact, what's crazy is when I listened to it today, right at the beginning, there's like a little skit where they're doing the jam session for the beat. And he's like, May 20th, 1994. And I was like, oh shit, this year's going to be the 20th anniversary of that jam session. And granted, that tape was a couple years, it wasn't 1994 when I first got my driver's license. But, or was it? I don't know what fucking year it was. But the Gravediggers was relatively new at that time at least, because I was fucking bumping that shit. And if you go listen to it, Gravediggers, G-R, I just spelled it in the chorus if you didn't get that. But the song is called 6 Feet Deep, and the beat is just stupid. The chorus is crazy, and the verses are crazy. And it was my first day driving the car by myself. I was in a McDonald's uniform, and I wasn't going to just go straight to McDonald's, man. I wasn't going to go straight to work. I was going to stop at 7-Eleven and get myself a drink. I was going to get a Snapple or a Fruitopia, which was hot at that time. So I fucking pulled up. I'm going into the 7-Eleven parking lot. The 7-Eleven is on the right. On the right is the 7-Eleven and a bunch of parking spots. It's like a mini mall. So if you picture that, two lanes where I'm driving on the right lane. There's another lane, like a parking lot. It's not lanes. It's just like two ways of traffic in a parking lot. There's not really anybody in there besides me. There's maybe 2 or 3 cars on the right by the 7-Eleven. I decide, since it's my first day driving, you know what? Here on the left, there's like 10 parking spots and it's just empty. There's nobody. So I just have to park, in between 2 lines and I'm good to go. Just taking it safe, first day. But I'm kind of like, in my head, I'm amped up, dude. I'm like excited that I'm driving, and this song just has me raging. Like I'm just bobbing my head as hard as you possibly could. And I pull to the left to go the fucking to go into the parking spot, and I hit the fucking gas to stop. Instead of hitting the brake, I hit the gas pedal. The car goes and it fucking jumps over the curb and hits the fucking sign, the big ass metal post that is holding the 7-Eleven sign up for all to see in the highway next to the 7-Eleven, not a highway, but a road next to 7-Eleven. And I just fucked up the front end of the car. Like it just like right in the middle of the car, it turned it into a V. You know what I'm saying? It turned it into like it just smashed in the middle of the front of the hood of the car. It was like ended up being like $2,500 worth of damage. And the crazy part about it was I could have picked any spot out of like the 10 empty spots that were in that little row. And of course, the one that I happened to pick randomly was the one that had the sign there. If I would have picked any other of the 10 spots and then hit the gas instead of the brake, I would have hopped the curb and at least I wouldn't have hit the sign. You know what I mean? But that's what happened when I was 16 years old. And I fucking hopped the curb. Bam. Right into the sign. Hold up. And I actually, after that happened, I didn't even end up going to work. I remember I fucking drove to work, and I told my boss the story, and like I was like, look at the car. It was legit, dude. Like the car was messed up. I remember before I took it back to my house, I was so scared. I was like really, really scared. Like I thought my dad was gonna whoop my. I was kind of scared of my dad. I was scared of my mom. I was scared of the fact that it was my first day driving, and I mean, Jesus Christ, not a very good track record. I'm probably not going to drive again. You know what I mean? I was excited to be driving, and the first day I get my license, I wreck my mom's car. And I'm afraid I'm not going to be driving. I go to my boy Fraser's house. I show him the car. He's like, damn, they're going to be pissed, huh? And then I get home, and I show the shit to my mom, and my parents really are not that mad. And what you don't realize when you're 16 is if you come home with a car accident, your parents are actually a lot more happy that you didn't die than that the car is damaged. You know, they definitely were not happy about it. They didn't think it was cool. They didn't think it was a good decision for me to hit the, I guess, accidental decision. It's not like I did it on purpose, but that's any car accident is usually an accidental decision. That's why they call it a car accident. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. That's what happened. And once you know people that are parents, you realize that you actually care more about your kids' safety than stuff like that. I mean, they were mad about the car. Don't get me wrong. It was like a brand new car, and I fucked it up. But they had insurance. They had to pay the deductible or whatever. Maybe their rates went up. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But yeah, that's the deal. I just dropped my phone, and let's go to some questions and shout-outs. All right. Let's see what we got going here. There's some weird noises being made in my... What the fuck? Oh, that was just... All right, shout-outs. Hold on 1 second. All right, shout-outs. Kraken Gallows, Moises R, Nate C. Oh, Nate C and Amy M. Amy M is a.k.a. the Ginger Princess. Both of them are from Michigan. Shout out to y'all. Johnny from the Czech Republic, Teddy W, David C, Christian in Japan, Dree the Boss, and TJL. Dwight G, who recommends Flying Lotus's label, Brain Feeder. The artists including Jeremiah, Jay, Thundercat, and Azizi Gibson. Not a lot of shout outs this week. Still catching up on the emails, but I'm actually really close to caught up, so hopefully once I get caught up, it won't be like really, really low on shout outs. But this is what I do. I go through the emails now, and I start from the, fucking, just whatever. That's fucking not interesting. Let's go to the first question. All right, this first one is from Geoff. This is not a question or a recommendation, but Geoff knows that any kind of fucking feedback, I'm over praise. You guys have been listening to the podcast for a long time know that I don't need to read the praise of myself. I don't need that anymore. I got over that many, many episodes ago, but this is a different kind of praise. Let me continue. Geoff says, so while listening to the podcast with Herbs, knowing how this whole podcast thing goes, I'm going to say that the cast was about 2 months ago. Haha. Making a reference to how I'm not caught up on the email. You had said something that wasn't too far from the truth. When you guys were talking about Iceland, you had said something like, quote, is everyone on Iceland descended from the original founders of Iceland? Unquote. Turns out that's kind of right. The population is so small, has been small, and has pretty much been the same families for so long that accidental incest, parentheses, hooking up with your cousins you didn't know you had or whatever, unparentheses, is a legitimate problem. It's enough of a problem that they made an app to help people try to avoid it. Essentially, you put your info into this app, then before you hook up with someone, you bump your phones together, and based on theirs and your info, it can tell if and how you are related. So look at you, being kind of right. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then, I guess. From Geoff. Yup. Well, let me tell you something, Geoff. I bet you knew goddamn well that if you wrote a praiseful email about how I said something intelligent, you would get a read on the podcast, and you were goddamn right. I don't remember exactly what me and Chris were talking about. We were talking something about the history of the world and how he looks up shit on Wikipedia all the time about random nations. And I said that about Iceland, and Geoff brought this up. I thought that was interesting. Iceland is so kind of, especially compared to the United States. The United States is what they call a melting pot. We obviously did have an original people in the Native Americans. But even with the Native Americans, geographically, the United States is so large that the West Coast is so fucking far from the East Coast that they would have never seen each other and actually even look very different from each other in certain ways. But In Iceland, that was less of a problem. It's kind of like whoever the original people are, and I guess like Viking type of motherfuckers. I don't know the kind of people they have, but the real shit is even up to this day. Obviously, up to this day, if it's an app, they didn't have apps back in the fucking day. Just you got to make sure you meet a girl at a bar, get to talking, sparks fly. You're on the dance floor, take her back to the crib, taking her panties down, making out with her. You go to put the condom on, and you go, hold on one second. You got your phone on you? Let me tap that. No, not that. Let me tap phones. Let me tap the phone. Tap my phone to yours. Tap, tap. Cousin. Siri gets on. That bitch is your cousin. I know Siri doesn't talk like that, but she should. And, that smartphone's smarter than you even thought it was. Just saved you from fucking your cousin up there, you fucking Icelandic redneck. Yeah, so that's interesting. You got to watch out for they have an accidental incest app up there in Iceland. So thanks for that, Geoff. Appreciate that. Thanks for that, Geoff. Appreciate that. All right, this one's from Mara the Human in the UK, and I believe this is a recommendation. I'm not sure, though. I know you don't read your praises out much anymore, but this one's kind of important. I'm a long-time listener. I really enjoyed your music and your lyrics. Continue has definitely been a massive help for me last year. I've managed to lose about 35 pounds from just jogging, dancing, and exercising to that album. Well, fucking congratulations, Mara. That's amazing for me to hear. Unless you were 100 pounds before and now you look totally anorexic. In that case, gain some weight back. Stop dancing. Especially doing whiner size, twerker size. I'm not sure what whiner size is. That must be some kind of drunk dancing. Just all around learning how to lap dance, to dream it. I just wanted to say thanks, man. I broke my phone, so my before and afters are lost now, but there's quite a big difference. Oh, shit. Anyways, this is mostly just a recommendation for a rapper named Scroobius Pip versus Dan Lesac. My favorite song, is that the whole thing? Scroobius Pip versus Dan Lesac. My favorite song is Stunner and Porter, but anything you listen to ought to be rad anyways. Also, any UK tours planned this year? Because seeing you last year was a massive highlight. I'm just upset I lost my videos on my phone. Anyways, if you can't read this out, then a shout out will be just as good. Stay safe out there. Mara the Human. Well, shout out to you, Mara the Human from the UK. Sorry to hear about your phone. A lot of phone shit right now. They can make an app for accidental incest, but not for Mara to find her phone. But she recommends Scroobius Pip versus Dan Lesac. I don't know what that is. I don't know. I thought that was a battle. I don't know if that means featuring. I don't know if that's a whole band name and they just have an interesting like Panic at the Disco style. Remember when long ass band names were the shit? Like every band name was like, even Death Cab for Cutie was kind of one of them. Like band names would just be long, Stunner and Porter. UK tour plan. I don't have a tour planned in the UK. I kind of got to put out another album before I can get back over there. So that's why I got all my shit over here. Trying to write as much music as I possibly can. Trying to do some new shit, you know what I'm saying? And hopefully I can get back over there. The only tour I have planned as of now is the Warped Tour in the United States in the summer. So I'll be all over the States if you want to come catch me on the Warped Tour. But unfortunately, nothing definite in the UK yet. Hopefully in the fall or in the winter. We'll see what's up. See what happens. All right. This next one is from Cooter, a.k.a. Evergreen. Cooter, that's pretty much the most redneck of names that you can possibly get. Cooter. My name's Cooter, and I'm wondering, when you skin a rattlesnake, you wanna cut it with a potato peeler or a tomato peeler? This one's from Cooter, a.k.a. Evergreen. What's up, Big Wax? What's going on? Hope everything's good. I got a couple questions for you. What is the key to writing a great hook? Wow. All of your hooks are catchy as hell, and I have a lot of trouble writing hooks. Well, thank you very much, man. I was talking to somebody the other day. I can throw out verses for... let me read the rest. All your hooks are crazy and catchy as hell, and I have trouble writing hooks. I can throw out verses for days, but the hooks always get me. Also, would you suggest I put some of my music on YouTube or try to go for contacts and such through record labels? I have a ton of songs written. I just have to record them and decide which direction to go. Thanks for the big help, man. Keep up the kick-ass music. Cooter, a.k.a. Evergreen. Let me tell you something, Cooter. Nah, that last question I can answer really quick. If you're deciding whether to put your music on YouTube or to send it to record labels, I know for a fact that the record labels just look on YouTube all day. They just try to find people on there. So you can kind of answer that question in one. Yes, put it on YouTube because that's where they fucking look. What is the key to writing a great hook? First of all, I was talking to somebody the other day. A lot of people that are really, really good at music. I'm not considering myself one of them. I'm talking about motherfuckers who like write orchestral pieces and score films and amazing piano players. But most, they don't think this way necessarily because they have a different kind of advanced brain and the way that they hear melody is different than the average person. But most average people, when they hear a song, what makes it a good song to them is like good and catchy are the same. They're interchangeable words. Man, that's a great, like my mom is like that. Like that song's really great. Like it stays in my head all day. So first of all, like so in the average person mind, like catchy equals good. And I appreciate the compliments, by the way. I don't know what it is about hooks, man. You just gotta keep it relatively simple and kind of do what feels good and what feels natural. I know some people that write really great hooks. I know that some people that try too hard with their hooks and change too many things and don't keep it simple enough or whatever. But I don't know, man. Like the key to writing a great anything is to just kind of fail a lot. You know, you have to write a bunch of shitty ones before you get a good one. Whether you're a beat maker, or a rapper, or a hook writer or a songwriter or artist or whatever you do, you have to do a bunch of bad shit first. You know, you have to get all the bad ones out of your system and fail in order to succeed. And writing hooks is weird, man, you know. And then I don't know, man. You just gotta just hum to it, you know, just like if you hear a beat, say that is going like that. And once you got that fucking once you got the melody because you just hummed it randomly because it felt good, you can fucking put in some words, and maybe some of the words are just whoa. It's like whoa, oh, why she do that? Whoa, oh, why that bitch do that? You know what I'm saying? Like you just fucking fill it in with words, and obviously that shit I just wrote. You know, I'm gonna when this podcast's over, I'm gonna go find that and make that a #1 song worldwide, a la. What's the #1 song worldwide right now? I don't fucking know. Whatever it is. But yeah, so basically I didn't help you at all. Just do what feels good, Cooter. Let me tell you something, Cooter. When it comes to writing a good hook, what you want to do, you want to get a 6-pack Budweiser out, open them all up, dump them all out right in your fucking stomach, and start whistling, man. Just start whistling, start hooting, start hollering. And, you know what I'm saying, maybe bake you up a fucking raccoon, maybe skin yourself some squirrel tail, and, squirrel teriyaki right there on a skewer. And just get to feeling good, man. You know what I'm saying? Get to feeling good. Smoke yourself some of that whack tobacco, man. Roll up some of that new shit they got out here. Dabs, you know what I mean? Put that shit, rub all that shit outside of there. Get a fucking fine big woman on your fucking side, you know what I mean? Sit on the front porch, swing back and forth, feeling nice. Put that beat on. All of a sudden, you're going to say, whoa, oh, That's what I'm saying, man. All right, Cooter, a.k.a. Evergreen. I will stop talking about that, but thanks for the email. This is from Frank, 22, Los Angeles, California. That's how he signed it. Okay. Hey, Wax. He's got some praise up top. Let's fucking just read it. Hey, Wax, what's up? Big fan, long-time listener, first-time emailer. I found you like many other people found you by watching your videos on the internet. I was so amazed at how much work you put into your videos. I got to get back to that. It means a lot that you would do all that just to entertain us. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that, Frank. And I only do that shit because I like it, and the fact that people watch it makes it so I can continue to do it, and I really should be taking advantage of that even more than I do, because I used to work a lot harder than I do now, and I'm trying to change my ways as always. My favorite video has to be the Rosanna one. Not because she's half naked throughout the whole thing, but how comedic it was, yet still had raw, dope lines. Well, I appreciate that, Frank. Most people that see that, because that video kind of went so far beyond just hip-hop fans to just like the regular listeners, a lot of people don't notice that there were some fucking raw, dope lines in that song. There were a lot of clever lines, a lot of like multi-syllabic fucking clever bars in Rosanna. I thought the fucking verses were dope, but most people don't hear that shit. So next time you ask yourself, hip-hop fan that's listening, how come blah 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 is famous when the fucking shit they say is not that clever or whatever? Because they don't rhyme 5 syllables like blah blah blah, my favorite battle rapper who has crazy metaphors and similes and shit in every bar. You know why? Because nobody even fucking notices that shit. You rhyme fucking, what was the one that somebody... My brother's joint, man. My brother's joint, That's That. Like, he does like the whole verse. He has 2 verses in each verse. It's like, smooth and delicious, y'all dudes just bitches, the crews of the bit. Like, anybody that raps knows that it's what's cool about the verse. He's going, Uber the bitches, the Uber the bitches, the doo to the slitches, the glue to the glitches. Like, he's do the ditches. It's 5-syllable rhyme. But like, you know, if he said bitches at the end, like he says your crew is some bitches, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but at the end, like he might have said the same word twice throughout the 16-bar thing, but he's rhyming 5 words. A lot of people don't hear that 5-syllable shit. They only hear that you rhyme bitches with bitches, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, they only hear the last syllable and they're like, oh, way to rhyme shit with shit or whatever. And, you know, Cameron used to get, Cameron, Fabulous, dudes like that would always get accused of that because the average person who was accusing them of that was too dumb to know, or too, you know, non-well-versed in rap to know that they were actually rhyming mad other shit besides that last syllable. And I don't know, how did I start talking about that? Rosanna. But yeah, I don't know. So my point is, my point was that the average person doesn't notice that same kind of shit. They don't even notice the verses. Nobody gives a shit about verses most of the time. It's like, if it's got a cool hook, and sometimes it don't even need that cool of a hook, if it just got a nice beat, people can move around, if it just feels good, nobody gives a shit that you said something clever. Like, every once in a while, there'll be one line that people pick up, it's just silly or something, but, you know, people don't notice that kind of shit. Anyway, I can just anyway, I'm at work, and I saw on Instagram you were about to record a podcast, so I decided, why not email you now? I'm moving out of my house this Sunday, and I'm feeling pretty shitty. I feel like I'm abandoning my family, even though they say I'm not. It still feels that way. I know I'm going to get... That's like the worst run-on sentence, Frank. I know I'm going to get over it, but it still feels like a big step. Any words of wisdom you can say that can help me through this? Thanks for reading. I'll keep you listening to the podcast. I love it. Well, thanks, Frank. I'm glad you enjoy the podcast. You say you're 22 years old from Los Angeles. I know by your last name that you're Hispanic. That doesn't mean anything, but it just makes it seem more logical that you live in Los Angeles. But 22 is a pretty standard age to move out of the house. You know, I'd have to... I told you this when I emailed you back. I'd have to know more about the situation for me to really weigh in on the question of whether or not you're abandoning your family. I mean, like, if you've been taking care of your grandma, grandfather, and both of your parents, all of whom have no legs, and without you, they don't know how they're going to eat and get about and stuff like that, then maybe there's a little bit of an abandonment there. But if they tells you that you're not, they're probably being good. They're probably like, dude, like, you're an adult now. Go do your thing. Like, go live your own life. We lived our own life. You know, that's why you're here. We lived our own life, had you, we raised you. Like, go do what we did yourself. You know, that's probably why they're telling you that. Also, in the back of their head, what they don't tell you is like, dude, you've been in our house for 22 years. We're fucking sick of looking at your face every day. Come over on Saturday. That's cool, Frank. Come over on Saturday. We miss you. You're our son and everything. But we don't need to see your fucking face every day, Frank. We don't need that shit. You know, that's what they're telling you. That's what they're not telling you, but that's what they might mean. In a loving way. You know, I mean, think about it. You've been their roommate for 22 years. Anybody who has lived on their own and has lived with roommates could tell you that, I mean, even if you're married to someone for 22 years, that's impressive to live with them for 22 years. Like, It's just time for some separation, dog. You know, so I don't think you're abandoning them. And if they tell you you're not, then it's probably a good thing, man. And you know, living by yourself is cool. You know, living without your parents is fun. I don't know what you do for fun or what kind of shit you like to do, but I will tell you this: you must be to even have those kind of thoughts means you're probably a really good dude. You're probably a really good person to even have those kind of thoughts. And you probably have a really good family too. Like you probably have a really close-knit family because most people don't even think like that. So props to you, Frank. And why don't you just take a small step and like when you move out, just kind of stay within the 15-mile radius. You know what I mean? And yeah, good luck to you, man. All right, this is Austin from Chicago. What up, Wax? Big fan of yours and I love the podcast. Can you shout me out? Shout out to Austin from Chicago. My question. I love rapping and rap music. I think I am semi-good at rapping, but I don't know how to write my own lyrics. I am just not lyrically finesse. I don't even know if... any tips? Well, Austin, don't know how to write your own lyrics, but you're good at rapping. Semi-good at rapping, you say. Man, I'd have to know more. You know, some people just, you know, if you listen to a song and you rap along to it, you know, you after a while you're going to get it down. You know, it's kind of like a karaoke thing. I mean, a lot of people can do that. Now, when it comes down to writing your own lyrics, this is the advice I'm going to give you, man. If you want to rap, fucking rap. Just do it. Get some instrumentals. Go to YouTube. I know you got a computer. That's how you fucking email me. Go to YouTube. Type in hip-hop instrumentals. Whatever. Find something. Just start rapping, man. Just rap. Freestyle. Write stuff. You know what I mean? As you freestyle, just write the most simple of stuff. You know, write about what you did today. You know, something like that. You don't even have to worry about how dope the lyrics are yet. Just get a feel for it and see if you want to be into it. And after a while, man, it's just if you do it for a long time, you'll kind of develop your own style, you know? You'll stop sounding like the people that influence you and you'll start to sound like yourself. So just write about stuff that interests you. You know what I'm saying? All right. Got two more letters. Oh, this was an interesting one. I don't know how I'm going to answer this one. Hi, Wax. It's Edon H. from Israel once again. I'm 16 and I an issue in need advice on. My family, we are Jewish by the way, was always a family that believes in God and follows some rules, but 2 years ago my father became gradually more religious. He is the type of father that will make you do something you don't want to and make it seem like you had a choice. So the rest of my family followed him. And I really try to go with him so we won't fight. Go with him so we won't fight. In order not to fight, basically. But it's so hard and it's also not rewarding. I mean, he doesn't really care if I do what he wants. But goes on a rage when I don't. Also, the older I get, the less I believe. So I feel like a hypocrite following these rules. To him, being 52 years old, it's easier to follow religion. But to a 16-year-old like me, it's trying. I'm feeling it. I'm like correct. As I go along, I'm correcting so much of the grammar as I read this. My father is really my father is really a hard to talk to person, and I really don't see a solution in talking to him. Of course, that was written perfectly. Keep in mind that Jewish rules can be demanding. It's not like going to church once a week, not dissing Christians or anything. Anyway, I don't know what to do, and hearing your opinion will be cool. This email ended up being super long, and I will understand if you don't read it on the podcast. Sorry if I fucked up my English. Have a good day, Wax. Well, you have a good day too, Edon. And first of all, a lot of Christians don't just go to church once a week, dog. A lot of Christians, church, like hardcore Christians, church is a 24/7 fucking thing. Christianity is life. Jesus is the fucking shepherd or whatever he is, and that's the thing. So it's, I mean, yeah, a lot of us, it's just a lot of Christians or Catholics or whatever. It's just kind of like you go to church once a week, but those are the fake ass ones. And so what am I supposed to tell you right now? You're basically saying that your dad wants you to be super religious and you don't think you necessarily believe in it. This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to keep this one short just because I don't, first of all, I don't know much about Judaism. In that way, Judaism is sort of like just about anything because I don't know much about it. I'm gonna answer this just like I answered something similar to this, I think last week or the week before, that was written by a 16-year-old. You have to face the facts. I'm pretty sure in Israel, 18 is the age of adult. I know that's when people go into the army. For those of you guys that didn't know, in Israel, if you're a man, you have to go into the military when you turn 18 or 19. I can't remember which one, but like when you get to be 18 or 19, you have to join the military for 3 years. So my point is, when you're 16, you kind of have to do what your parents say. Like, you can tell them what you think, and you can, once you're 16, you kind of start to be your own person and stuff like that. Much so, more so than when you're 12 and whatnot. But you live under their roof. They're kind of like your rulers, and you sort of have to at least go along and fake it to a certain degree, because they kind of own you at that point. You know, you're a minor. They're your legal guardian, and it's that what they say goes. So you're going to kind of have to fake it for a little while. But what I would recommend is to just kind of question your dad and be like, look, I don't know that I believe this stuff. I mean, if you want to try to convince me a little bit more, that's fine. But, you know, I believe in something else. I believe in science. I question these things, you know. Speaking of God. I don't know. My point is that to finalize what I had to say about that, Edon, you're 16. You kind of have to do what your parents tell you, but you don't have to believe what they tell you to believe. You know, and you have every right to tell your dad, like, look, Dad, I don't believe that shit. You know, but you shouldn't say it like that. You should just be like, I'm not sure if I believe this. Well, I don't fucking know. But speaking of religion, this is. I just pulled it up. It's already on my Facebook. But there's a girl who will remain nameless. She's a girl that I don't really know, but she went to the same high school with me, and somehow I'm friends with her on Facebook. So I saw her status update today, and I wasn't gonna I'm not the kind of person that goes and posts comments to people, because some people post about God and post about politics, and like I just fucking want to post a response so bad, but it's like I don't really know you that well. I haven't even talked to you in many years. In the case of this chick, I never really knew this chick, but to make it short, I guess this is she's a super Christian chick, as many people become, you know. Many people become very Christian. You'll find, goes back to you, Edon, a lot of times when people get older, they look around them, and even more so than ever, I'm saying this out of fucking experience because I'm going through this right now, even more so than ever in their lives, they don't understand what the fuck the point of existence is. What's the point? You look around you, and you're just in this matrix, man. Like, what is the point? What's the point of being alive? And what happens when you die? What's the point of it fucking all, you know? And a very easy way to explain it, and a very comforting way to live your life, is to take some book, take what maybe your parents believe or somebody else, and just what a lot of people believe in. You can join a group and be involved with a bunch of other people socially that believe in something. And they like, people love faith. People just love to have faith. It explains everything and makes everything really simple. I can't fucking do that for the life of me, and maybe it's to a downfall. Maybe that's part of what makes me depressed. I think about fucking death all the time. I always think about why. You know, I always think about what's the point of this? What's the point of that? Why do this? Why do that? More so now than ever, man. I question all this shit. I think about all the you think about all the stuff you could be doing and how life has infinite possibilities, like, and you wonder about your own path and shit like that. But these little things, these religions, they make it easy. You know what I'm saying? It just makes it easy. You don't have to think about what path. You follow that path, and whatever happens, you relate it to that path. And the reason I say that is because this chick, she's talking about writing checks for bills or something like that, and she says, experienced this week firsthand the fact that God takes care of his children. She talks about like bills and shit she had to pay, and she's like, well, he made sure that the check didn't clear until my paycheck cleared. Then all caps, God is good all the time. I am so thankful that he is my guardian. So essentially the fact that the bill company waited for a little while and didn't cash the check until her paycheck happened to clear, that was God's will. God specifically fucking did that for this chick. Now, if it wouldn't have happened, if they would have tried to cash the check fast before her paycheck cleared and the check would have bounced, would that have been the devil's fault? Would that have been God neglecting her? No. God works in mysterious ways. Maybe it would have been the devil's fault. I don't know. Some crazy people might say that, but if something good happens, thank God. If something bad happens, God's mysterious. All this shit makes it easy to explain, but I was just taken aback by it. And there's so many fucking likes on it and shit. Like, I should go unfriend everybody if anybody I'm friends with that liked that, I should go unfriend. But good thing is there's absolutely no chance that any of these people listen to this podcast. These are just people I don't even really know that well. But just the concept of being like, the fact that some random fucking company waited a couple of days to cash my check and then my paycheck cleared and then they cashed the check, that's God. God did that specific thing for you. Like, to explain something in that way is fucking crazy to me. Like, this fucking all-powerful being that loves us all and looks at us all the time, like, why didn't the motherfucker make it so you have more money? Why didn't he make it so you didn't even have to worry about that shit? Why the fuck it's fucking insane to me to think like that. It's insane. Any good little thing like that is these super, super specific things like that are God's doing. It's insane to me, but it's not insane to everybody. And it's sure not insane to that girl that I'm friends with on Facebook. I thought of so many comments I could have put on that shit, but I don't do stuff like that. I don't, especially with political shit. I don't get into political shit, because then you got like the third parties. I seen my brother was getting into some political debate on Facebook with like somebody he hadn't seen since high school, many years. And of course, once he starts debating with her, all these other motherfuckers come in. You know what I mean? Some on her side, some on his side. Some people grow up and they become conservative. Some people grow up and they become religious. Some people grow up and they become liberal. Some people grow up and they become ridiculously liberal and move to Venezuela, like my other like my homie that first got me into smoking weed. That's where he lives right now. He lives in Venezuela, and his Facebook posts are so fucking funny. They're just every hour he's posting a conspiracy theory post, and then you have the other extent of that, the Christian conservative people. And once we were just all in high school, just trying to fucking finger each other, All right, this is the last one. This is from Terrence C. Wax, man, what's up? I've been listening to you since New Crack, and I'm still loving every line. God damn it, I gotta write some more shit. I gotta fucking get some more music out there. Your podcasts are the best. Please keep them going. I appreciate that, man. But my question is, what are your religious views? I think that I already answered that. My religious views are that I don't know fucking anything. My religious viewpoint is that all the little books that people have and all their little specific rules are complete nonsense. And you have to be extremely arrogant to think that your little sect is the only correct one, and that God only gives a fuck about you and not all the other people that came before you. Not to mention all the people that lived on the earth before Jesus even existed. All them motherfuckers went to hell. Fuck them. Even if the Jews were right before that, everybody else, every Muslim, everybody else, like, you have to be really arrogant to think that you're correct about all these little things. And as far as just like, if there is a God, if there is a higher power, does he love us? Do we have an afterlife? All that stuff. My general answer is I don't know. I don't know. I think that when you die, you're gone. I think that when you die, the same shit happens that what happened before you were alive. I think that you're just gone. I think it feels like you went to sleep and you never woke up. That's what I think happens. But I will say that, I don't know. There might be a God, man. Like, there's certain things that happen to you in certain times, especially with music and just the way music is and the way that we're all in tune. Like that, just rhythm. It's crazy to me that we have this heartbeat that kind of translates, I think, into an ability to have rhythm. Rhythm to me is what makes me think there may be God. Like, how do we have the ability to cut time into exact fragments like that. It doesn't make sense that the brain can do that. And then when you feel these feelings you get when you listen to music or look at art or fall in love, or when you look at your kid that is first born, stuff like that, like those things make me wonder, like maybe there is some kind of, whether it's God or just some kind of force that's so special and powerful that our small tiny brains couldn't understand it. Like I always say, like imagine an ant understanding NAFTA, you know? Imagine the beetle that you just stepped on. Imagine him knowing who Barack Obama is. Like that's us knowing what God is. That's my religious views. And the other question was Rosanna inspired by a real chick? Yes, it was. So yeah, that's the podcast for today. That was podcast episode 53. Thank you guys for listening. I'll be back next week. And since I'm here in Venice, you can pretty much expect the podcast to be maybe not exactly on time, but this week I'm actually putting the podcast up on Wednesday. Would you fucking believe that? Going with the jingle. And hopefully that'll be happening more now that I have the ability to record from the crib. So be safe out there.